Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of Live Chat with Arrows Education. We are happy to answer some of the questions that you have about studying abroad. And today we are also focusing on studying in Japan. It's a questions that sometimes we do ask, like, what's it like studying in the land where the sun rises? And today we have a great opportunity to study in Japan, given these new doors that are open in the East, where exchange rate has improved a lot, and studying in Japan is now a dream that is within our reach for those who would like to. And this is what Arrows Education do. We are, if we can have the presentation up, we are a consultancy, education consultancy and agency um, that our services cover over 30 countries around the globe, working with over 2,500 higher education institutions across the globe, offering thousands of courses in all the field. From K-12 to PhD, we have you covered, and we offered all these consultations and services to you for free. And so this is our most affordable support service that you can find out there. And we can give you the best and latest updates and information so that you can realize your dream of studying abroad. And today we have with us Dr. Bosedi again. And as we talk about what's it like to study in Japan, what are some of the things that is available to us? What are opportunities, and what are exciting things that awaits you in Japan when as you go and study there? So with this, without further ado, I pass this time over to Dr. Bosedi.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. So, depending on where you are, just pick the one that applies. So, it's my pleasure to be here again this evening. It's evening at my end, so I'll be saying a lot of evening. Pleasure to be here again to talk about opportunities in Japan. Like we usually encourage everyone that has been part of our information sessions that if you can't go to the US, you can't go to UK or Canada or Australia, you can go somewhere else. So we have been fishing around for some of those opportunities that can help you to realize your study abroad dream, even if you can't go to the West. So I remember that we did have one session a few years back. If you can't go to the West, then go to the East. And that's one of the opportunities that we are presenting today about studying in Japan. So can you please put my slides on the screen? Thank you very much. Okay, so what I've tried to do, can you step back a little? Okay, so what I've tried to do here is to put together a few slides so that I'll be sure that most of the questions that you have will be covered. So I'm going to begin with just an introduction of Japan as a country. I know many of us have been hearing the name since forever, but you probably don't know too much about Japan. So let's start with that. So, like I said, Japan is an East Asian country. If you look at the map to the right of my screen, you see it's a very small island on the eastern part of Asia. It's not really bordered by any country because it's right in the middle of the sea, somewhere there. But the closest, or I would say nearest nations that you can see around there would be North Korea, South Korea, Russia, and maybe a little bit of China. China is a bit far, but then that's like what you see. So if you are wondering where it's located, that is where it is. And Japan happens to be one of those unique nations that has a blend of tradition and modernity together. I mean, things are changing. It's in Japan that you're going to find a traditional, very, very traditional setup next to a robotic company. in the same place. So it's a nation that has come a long way, but has not left behind the tradition. Japan is number three economy in the world. It's the third largest economy, and it has the highest number of Nobel laureates in Asia. It has a very rich and diverse cultural experiences that it can offer to you. So it's actually a very one of the I think a very popular tourist destination in Asia. So Japan is a wonderful place, I believe, if you have the opportunity to go there to study. But then let's start with the issue of safety. So when I was looking at this and they said, oh, Japan is safe, I said, okay, let's see how safe Japan is. So I went and fished out. Please give me a minute.
Do you have this?
Okay, so sorry about that. I needed to just quickly attend something. So I pulled up the organized crime index across the world. And as you can see there, Myanmar is number one country where, like, if you're thinking in terms of safety, it's the most unsafe country in the world according to this index. And then Colombia is next, followed by Mexico, Paraguay, Congo, that's the Democratic Republic of Congo, followed by Nigeria. That makes me so sad. Not that I was too surprised anyway. And then we have South Africa, Iraq, Afghanistan. That's your top 10, 11 there. Then I went to the bottom. That's where you see the safest countries around the world. So you can see there, Japan is the number 142. That means Japan is safer than 141 other countries, or even more, because some of the countries have the same ranking. So that's what you see there. So Japan is relatively safe, or I would say very safe, a very safe country, because 142 is a very good place to be. So that is I think something that people may be interested in. And then, furthermore, on Japan, the popularity of the country is growing steadily in terms of being a study abroad destination because of this safe living environment that it presents, the low crime rate, and the quality of education is also very high. And there are almost 800 higher education institutions in the country with cutting edge disciplinary fields, including robotics, animation design, precision medicine, and then Japan is a globally recognized education leader, and it's worth consideration. Life in Japan is for students. This is specifically for students. There is an all-round policy support, especially in terms of the national health insurance that is offered to students. It covers up to 70% of your cost. So meaning that out-of-pocket pay is just going to be about 30%. And then one big news for international students is that you can study and work, and you are allowed to work for up to 28 hours per week. In most Western countries, you are only allowed to work up to 20 hours per week. But Japan allows you to work 28 hours per week with an hourly pay of about 1,000 to 2,000 Japanese yen. So I put the dollar figure there so you can see what it will mean for you. That's between $7 to $14 per hour. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. And then there is a comprehensive student discount system for transportation, and you have a variety of accommodation options to choose from. Okay, so this is the average cost of living. So you can see it means that you can survive on $200 per month for accommodation, food 130, transportation about 30, utilities and insurance about 50, leisure and others. If you think you need it, about 30. Sorry, I think someone is probably changing my slides. I'm on the average tuition slide. I'm not sure why that's not what I'm saying here. Okay, so that's where I am. So, okay, so I'm on average cost of living. So altogether, if you sum up the figures on the right, because I usually will say no matter how much it is said it's average, you can go lower. So altogether, less than $500, you can survive in the country. I mean, covering all of your costs per month. And if you do a little bit of arithmetic, if you work, let's step back. Your hourly wage, $7 to $14. So let's even use an average of say $10. Let's assume, or let's go for the lowest. Let's say you are working $7 per hour and you are allowed to work 28 hours. With 28 hours, 28 times 7, anyone can help me with the figure? That will be 56 there and 5 and then 14. That's 196. So 196 per day, sorry, per week. And that means in 1 month, if you multiply that by 4, that's about 200 by 4, that's 800, meaning that you can afford your cost of living and still have extra. That's what it means. So this is the average tuition cost. And these are fantastic figures when you look at the ones on the extreme right, the dollar figures, 3,800 to 5,800. These are figures you don't see in any Western country. So this is for undergraduate programs. If you attend public universities, if you attend private universities, and then for master's degree, national, that's public universities and private. So the figures are put there so that you can compare, because even if you want to go to a public university because it's cheaper, it's not everyone that will be able to get into a public university. So for those who might not be able to get into the public university, the cost of the private universities are also there. And then there are a number of scholarships and financial aid. So the ones you are seeing on my screen is not like an exhaustive list. These are just some of the most popular scholarships that you see, and these are based directly in Japan. But you can also find scholarships outside that you can bring to use to cover your study. So each of these scholarship, you can check for them online and see the eligibility and when you can apply for them, whether you need to be in the system or you can apply from outside the system. So you can see the first one there. That's one of the, I think it's the most popular Japanese government scholarship. It covers your tuition, your living expense, even your airfare here to Japan and back to your home country. JASO scholarship is just it covers your monthly living stipends and your tuition support, and it gives you some tuition support. And then the university scholarships usually are merit based, so you'll be expected to maintain a certain level of CGPA, and if you continue to maintain that, you will always get the scholarship. Then there are a number of private foundations, maybe alumni funding, industry scholarships that you can also explore. Many of them will require a level of academic performance, so which is something that you can work on. So some of the advantages of studying in Japan also include the fact that there are multiple intakes per year and the programs are bilingual. You can study in both English and and Japanese language. And then they offer you 6 to 12 months of Japanese language course. And then the admissions actually does not put restriction on your GPA. This is one other fantastic thing about Japanese universities. So it is not that, oh, you must have distinctions all through or you must have this. So everyone has a chance. That's what it means. Everyone has a chance as long as you can demonstrate that you have the potential to be able to do well. And then there are modular courses for working professionals that makes your life easy. They are a lot more flexible. Then there are many. The most of the universities have global network partners of other universities where you can do credit transfer and dual degree opportunity. So let's say you are currently studying in a different country and you want to consider moving to Japan, you'll probably be able to find an institution in Japan that has a collaboration with the university where you're studying presently, and you can easily transfer there based on the arrangement. They also offer you career empowerment. So during your study, you have uh, access to internships and job referrals because of the partnerships and collaborations between the universities and the industry. There are also provincial and university level special scholarships that are related to culture, sports science, and technology. Well, the tuition, of course, you have seen that it's quite low compared with when you think of £15,000, $26,000. So there's no way you want to compare 3,000 plus 5,000, 7,000. So it's quite affordable. And you can also fast track to, so they have a program where you can fast track to uh, um, PR if you study the STEM, you study in any of the STEM courses. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you study any one of the courses that falls in there, you permanent residency in Japan. And then if you're married and your family is with you, your spouse can work and your children can attend public schools for free. So these are some opportunities that you don't find in many other places, where you have to pay huge international fees for your children to go to school, or you have to homeschool them for the period that you are studying. So Japan offers free schooling for your children, and your spouse can work full time.
Looks like we having a little bit of issue with Dr. Bosedi's connection here.
Hello,
Yes,
can you?
she's back.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. So let me keep going on. I'm not sure what happened. Okay,
Yeah,
so I
no
said
worries.
I was going to be talking about these four programs as key programs that we are promoting today, while there are opportunities for several other programs if you are interested in them. So we have the nursing science program, we have the management program, digital arts program, and the education program. So I'm going to take them one by one, but is general information about them. So if you're studying for a bachelor's program in management or any of these courses, it's 4 years, and your tuition is about 2.8 million Japanese yen. For a master's program, you'll be looking at about 2.6 million. For a PhD program, about 5 million. And if you are doing a language program, we're looking at zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.5 million Japanese yen. So, but these are some things that you need to note. For undergraduate admission, and for masters as well, masters and PhD, you need to apply by January or July and August, meaning that this is the right time for you to apply if you have any intention of going. This is a very good time to apply. And then you have the opportunity of early credit transfer, which can help you in graduating on time for a bachelor's program in 3 years instead of 4 years. And you can also graduate on time from your master's within 1 year instead of 2 years. Okay, so I'm going to highlight a few important details to note about those sub programs that I mentioned earlier. So the nursing science is referred to as a program where tradition meets robotics. So there's a collaboration with the industry to integrate cutting-edge nursing robot technology. So this is part of what you are going to be studying. So you're going to be seeing live a nurse robot and how they work. So it's an integration of traditional medicine and technology training model. So it combines Chinese traditional medicine and Thai herbal therapy. The program covers clinical management, geriatric care, and preventive health care. And for the management program, it features integration of digital economy frontier courses in Japan and the ASEAN market lane management system. The program direction and coverage includes all of those transnational business operation, digital economy thinking of management personnel, big enterprise real project practice, and globalization of business management skills. So these are all covered in the course. So if it's something that is in your mind, so you can begin to see how this might apply for you. And then you have the digital arts program, which bridges cultures and create trends. The program features cross-cultural creative talent cultivation, and the coverage includes critical creative thinking, anime cooperation projects, something that you'll be exposed to, product development, internationalization of creative talents, and the last one, which is the education program, it uses the bilingual teaching mode. It integrates Chinese smart educational technology with Japanese STEM education concepts. So the teaching model is bilingual, and it helps, the program coverage includes modern teaching technology, curriculum research, and development of education experts. So this is the application process. Generally, everyone, no matter the program you want to do, you need, of course, the application form. You need the data page of your international passport, and it should be valid for more than 1 year, or at least 1 year, but usually more than 1 year. And then you have so if you are going for a bachelor's program, in addition to that, you'll be expected to have your high school diploma or transcript and certificate, or the equivalent. Then if you are going for a master's, you're going to need, in addition to that, your bachelor transcript and certificate. And if you are going for a PhD program, you need, in addition to that, your master's transcript and certificate. So you can see the flow there. You just determine the major that you want to study, sign up, fill the admission application form, submit your notarized scanned copy of your admission materials. Then the admission notification will be issued upon approval, pay the tuition and miscellaneous fees, apply for visa, and go to Japan. Hopefully, in an updated session, maybe in the nearest future, we're going to talk more about the visa aspect, because Japanese visa application process is different from most of the ones that we are familiar with. So we're going to be talking extensively about that in a future session. So this is the graduation requirement. So for high school leavers, if your plan is to go study for your bachelor's in Japan, you will be expected to have a minimum of a D or S in all subjects that you have taken or that you register for, meaning you are not permitted to fail your course, and you have to graduate with a minimum of CGPA 2.0 out of 4. That's the minimum. If you have anything less than that, you won't be able to graduate. You'll be expected to complete a graduation project and pass the defense. And then you are expected to have taken the IELTS test and pass at least at 5.0 or equivalent. Or you can take the University English Language test before you graduate. So that means you have 4 years to actually pass this. So you have all the time. Then you are expected to also pass the Japanese language proficiency test at level 2 or above. And you are expected to maintain a record of good conduct, zero punishment at school level or above. So you are not expected to get into trouble within the 4 years of your study. So you have to watch out for anything that could cause you to get into trouble. And then this is the graduation requirement for master students. Minimum CGPA for you is 3.0 out of 4, not 2. And then you are expected to take the comprehensive examination of professional to independent research. So that means you're going to be writing a thesis of about 20,000 words in English, and you should pass the independent research and opening defense as well. And your Japanese language proficiency certificate has to be passed at level N2 or above. Similarly, for PhD program, you are, yeah, so the same minimum GPA 3.0 out of 4 in all your taught courses. Then your doctoral thesis proposal presentation, you have to pass that, and then you go on to write your thesis. Your thesis is expected to be 80,000 words or above. That's like 4 times what is expected of you at undergraduate level. Then you have to pass the thesis defense, complete, and then you have to complete one of the following. So you can choose. Either you publish a tier one journal article as the first author, or you publish a patent or a copyright, maybe a copyright, something intellectual property. So one of the two, you can choose. You can choose the one that works easier for you, and then your Japanese language proficiency certificate also at N2 or above. So that's just the basic things that you need to know about studying in Japan. So thank you very much. We,
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you, Dr. Bossady.
okay.
Um, I'm pretty sure that I'm very sure that what you have shared it's really really interesting, and has given us a lot of idea what's it like to study in Japan, and not only that, the opportunities that are available to the students. I'm particularly intrigued by the fact that that students are now allowed to work part time while they are studying for up to 28 hours a week.
Yeah.
I think most countries are only allowing 20, and I
Yep.
think Japan before it's also was also 20, and now they are allowing 28 hours. That sounds like a great opportunity, especially if money is an issue. Uh, it's slightly going to be a challenging issue for you to study abroad, and now you have an option to work while you study as well. And 28 hours and making $7 an hour, it's really a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can get as much here in Malaysia working on hourly wages. That's not simply not possible here in Malaysia. Yeah. Question on top of what you shared, Dr. Bosetti, I have a few questions for you. Hopefully that we can discuss and talk about as well. I looked at the breakdown of the expenditure that you shared with us. I do notice that accommodation seems to take a huge portion of the expenditure. And if I look at the number and I'm working at $7 an hour in Japan, that's just going to barely cover my accommodation, and yeah, that seems to take a huge portion. Is there like does the universities there provide cheaper alternatives for students, like providing hostel for them? Or if not, then what other options do we have over there? Do you have any idea?
Actually, if you look at the figure, that's why I quickly did the arithmetic I did previously. The
Mm,
accommodation there is about $200 per month, but it can go up to 1,000 per month. Japan is one of the countries where accommodation is quite expensive.
right, that's what I know too.
Yeah, accommodation is quite expensive, and if you live in the cities like Tokyo, it's crazy expensive. But if you are studying in not, I mean, outside of Tokyo, you can expect that this will go down. But one other thing which I usually mention to our viewers is when you go to, okay, let me use Malaysia as an example. As a student, if you come to study in Malaysia, there is really no fixed price. of accommodation. So when someone tells you with 200 ringgit, you can take care of maybe your accommodation per month, what
Mm,
kind of accommodation is this person talking about? Or rather, let's say they say 700 ringgit. That's the usual amount they will usually quote, maybe 700 ringgit. But you know that if you live in the student hostel, you get a discounted kind of accommodation. The
mm,
challenge is that when you live in the hostel, you cannot cook your own meals, which is very challenging for international students because you can go to the canteen, you can go to the restaurant. The restaurants are too expensive. The university canteen, you might not be able to eat the food, at
mm.
least not in your first 6 months of arriving in the country.
That's
So
true.
you don't even know what is served. So usually you want to find a way to maybe cook your own meals. Usually international students will go with food stuff from home when they are going to any country. So you want to be able to cook your own meals. But at the end of the day, when you live outside the university, you discover that okay, let's say in around the university here where I live, a three-bedroom apartment will cost about 1,500 ringgit.
Mm,
There is no reason why an undergraduate student will go to rent a three-bedroom flat. So what students usually will do is three of us, six of us will come together and rent this 1,500 ringgit house, and then we will be two in each room. So when you divide 1,500 by six, you discover that it's just like less than 200 ringgit per person. So this is how, but then at the initial stage, because it's very challenging when you are coming in newly. You don't know anyone. You don't even know where people live. You don't know how to get to the campus. You don't know what awaits you. So usually
mm.
your first year is usually your, or let me say your first semester is your most expensive semester when you go to study abroad. So
Right.
these figures are usually to help international student or potential international student to prepare. But by the time you go in, this will be maybe the only time that you are ever going to pay this kind of prices. Because by the time you register and you start going to class, you get to make friends, then you
Mm,
see other people like you who
yeah.
are also studying in the same university, and then you can join international student clubs or associations. You can join association of students from your country, and from there you start to ask questions, and then they'll tell you, oh, okay, you're looking for a room or you're looking for a place to share, and then they will introduce you, and then the price continues to go down. And the longer you stay in the country, the cheaper things become, because the
Right.
more of what's going on you can see. Yeah, so
Yeah. So bottom line, it's be smart about it, right? Because accommodation, while it's
exactly.
really high in Japan, but it's not something that it's fixed to you as well, because you do have choices.
Yeah,
And as your time there grows, your experience grows, you make more friends, you have more connections, you make smarter choices as well. And so when you make decision for your accommodation, I would say that it's really important that you take in consideration that, hey, are you allowed to cook? Because studying in Japan, I think one thing that we need to take note is food. Outside food, it's going to cost you
yeah,
a lot more. Food is expensive in Japan. And so if staying in hostel maybe is cheaper, but if it doesn't allow you to cook, that means your food expenditure is going to shoot up,
yeah,
and it's going to make it really difficult for you to sustain that. So maybe it would be probably more to your advantage if you pay another $100 more for rental, $200 more for rental, but you are able to save like up to
yeah,
$500 in
yeah,
in food expenditure. That's still a saving, right? And so uh, once you arrive there, I think it's important to take your time to take this in consideration and make smarter choices, and go actively look for friends and even look for better property around the area, so that you can make better financial choices as well.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, don't be scared by the number, because those are issues that you can resolve, and it does get cheaper as it goes. I'm still on the topic of expenditure and money in Japan. Just now I looked at the fact that the spouse of a student can actually work full time, and so that sounds like really advantageous for anyone who's married and with kids as well, because um, I know in Malaysia that's a bit more challenging to bring your spouse to Malaysia to do that. But in Japan, if it allows you to do that, it seems like a really great opportunity or alternatives to handle that, because then
Yes.
your living expenses could be supported by you can work together with your spouse to do that, right? So
Yeah.
you have anything to say about that? Yeah, yeah.
So, um, like I said earlier,
Mm.
it's I think one other country that does that for you would be Canada.
Okay.
Canada also allows your spouse to work, but whether your spouse will find a job is a different issue entirely. But so for Japan, so when we look at that, if you go in with your spouse, of course you are going to incur a little bit more cost because you have to live in a bigger apartment now than you will if you were to be there all by yourself. And then, but your kids can go to school for free. And then when your spouse works, it means that your spouse can do 40 hours or more per
Mm.
week. So if your spouse is doing 40 hours per week, it means that in 1 month, your spouse can do 160 hours. So let's say your spouse is able to get like a $10 offer. So 160 hours, that's $1,600 per month. I think that's something that can really, really help the family. And if you are prudent, of course, because I know questions that usually goes on in the minds of potential international students or parents when we talk about costs or anything about money is, if I'm working, will I be able to pay my tuition? So that is the uh, question that most people will usually want to ask. So if we go back to where we were earlier, the tuition cost is about 3,500 to 5,000. So let's even use the higher end. Let's use it to calculate. Let's say you are paying a tuition of $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one semester will be about 4 months, and you have a break of maybe a month in between before you are due to pay another one. So let's say you have the window of opportunity of 5 months to pay for $5,000. So it means that you are working. So I'm trying to pull up my calculator now for that so that I will get the right figure. So let's assume that both of you, so I want to have a round figure so it will be easy for me. $10 per hour. So you as a student, you are working 28 hours, or let's say you are working 25 hours. Your spouse is working full time and is doing 40 hours, meaning between you, you have 65 hours per week. And in 1 month, you have 4 times that. So that's 260 hours per month. So if you are getting paid $10 per hour, or let's use the lower end. Let's say you are getting paid $7, both of you. It means that in 1 month, you can make $1,820. And in 5 months, which is the window that you have to pay up your tuition, you can make $9,100 between the two of you. If you remove your 5,000 tuition, let's assume that your tuition is up to 5,000, you still have $4,100 left, and you can pay your rent and still be able to feed your family and possibly have a little bit saved up to top up your tuition next time. So I think it's a good thing if you have a partner that can lift up your hands. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. So it's an option for those who are married.
Yeah.
It's something that you can think about, and would probably have to discuss with your wife or your husband, to make that work as well.
It may be good
Um,
for those who are almost married too, to help them
Almost married.
to quickly go and marry.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be probably quite a long road for me, but for those who are getting nearing to marriage, please get married as soon as possible. And yeah, and so we also talk about the Japanese language, right? I saw that you have to take about 6 to 12 months of Japanese language classes.
Yeah.
Is Japanese language a mandatory subject to take while I'm studying there? And do I need to know Japanese before I even go there to study in Japan?
Okay, so Japan. Let me answer the first question. Yes, but the second question, no.
Okay,
So you are expected to know Japanese language, but not before you go there.
all
When
right.
you go in there, you have the opportunity of enrolling in the Japanese language course, and then it's just like the when you go to study in German too. I mean, in Germany, you are expected to learn the German language, and then if you especially if you are studying in the public university, so you have 6 to 12 months, and you can actually register and continue to learn the language for the period of your stay in the country, because at the end of the day it will give you a very very big opportunity. I mean, when it comes to looking for a job, usually it becomes easier. It's much easier for you if you speak the language than if you don't. So but if you want to challenge yourself and start to learn the language before you even go, even much better, because the truth of the matter is a new speaking a foreign language opens doors. It
Mm,
opens doors that nothing else will open. Speaking the language opens it. So if you can start to learn it, I mean, there are so many opportunities. Duolingo is free. Go on Duolingo, start to learn the language, and pick up a few. I mean, pick up a few of the vocabularies, the common ones that you're going to need. Hello, how it is, where is this? No, those kind of simple things. And then by the time you are ready to go to Japan, you already have some of the, I mean, vocabularies in your arsenal that can help you in navigating. Because one unique thing about Japan is similar to countries like China and Korea is the fact that if I come to Malaysia, I can read all the signposts. Even though they are not in English, or at least they use English alphabet. It's totally different when you go to Japan. Everything is written in Japanese language, and you have no idea what is out there that you are looking at. You're just looking like, okay, what is this? So if you try to pick up maybe some of the characters, the commonest ones and all that, it will be a lot of advantage by the time you're ready to go. But if you don't have the privilege, definitely you can always go. When you get there, you start to attend the language course. So
yeah. I feel like we don't have to let language be something that scares us. Of course, it can be a factor that we think about majorly that we should take into consideration. But I think there are so many tools out there right now to help us overcome that. I remember traveling to Switzerland and have no idea what the German language is talking about, right? But I have all the tools I need. As long as I have an internet on my phone,
yeah.
I have a Google Translate. I
Mm.
can take a photo of that, translate that, and know exactly what it is talking about. I can even start ordering based on what the translator app is telling me, and even so in Japan this is even more accessible. Internet is everywhere, and you also will have certain signboards that are written in English as well to basically help tourists to navigate around the city. And yeah, and you have Duolingo. I am an avid user of Duolingo learning German. from Duolingo, and I've picked up a lot of the language just going through that lessons offered free to me. Um, on a daily basis, and so it's a preparation, a good preparation to do before you go there. And picking up a separate language, especially a language that is spoken by the third largest economy in the world, I think that's going to be such an advantage for anyone who's able to do that, and it's a privilege. um, yeah, and so don't let language be something that stops you uh, from going. And if you yeah, and if you ever have the chance to do that, it's going to be very advantageous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about culture, actually, I am a big fan of Japanese culture myself. I watch a lot of anime, and I spoke to a lot of Japanese myself, and kind of know their culture as well. But it's also important to note that you mentioned that this is a country that is where tradition and technology meets, modernity meets together. And so Japanese as a culture holds very strongly to their tradition. Traditionally, they are a bit more reserved. They're more quiet, and yeah, they're much gentler in their dealings with others. And so what I do observe is whenever there's multiple cultures coming together and blending in, sometimes it ends up with a really bad picture, right? Especially people are coming from my country, for example. We talk really loud, and the volume that I'm talking right now, it's considered, it's almost like as if like I'm really, really angry um, at them.
Wait
Yeah,
until you meet Nigerians.
yeah. And I have Nigerian friends as well, right? When you all discuss with me and talk with me, it's always really passionate with a lot of blood boiling in you to speak, and that is actually really intimidating to Japanese people. And so it's something that you have to take note, but it's also something that you can learn from. And when you expand your horizon, your cultural horizon that way, I feel like you are able to survive anywhere in the world because you are so adaptable, and you have learned to appreciate and accept cultures from different sides of the world. Yeah. And we have a question online from Creative Makers. It says, it asks, can a bachelor student bring independence to study in Japan? So I think it's revolves around the question of bringing a spouse. I think it kind of makes sense if you're studying master or PhD and you bring a
Yeah.
spouse along, but I don't know about bachelor students. What do you think?
Usually, practically every country doesn't allow bachelor students to bring spouse.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you are not expected to have been married at that stage. Yeah,
Mm,
I don't know. It's not usually allowed. Even in
mm,
Malaysia, if no matter how old you are
mm.
studying for a bachelor's program, you can't bring your spouse.
Yeah. It's called a
So
bachelor it's called a bachelor
exactly,
study for a reason, right?
exactly. It's not a bachelor's program for nothing.
Yeah. So I think it's worth investigating into. Reach out to Arrows, and we'll try to find that out. I think the rules may be different for each university, but I think generally that's usually not allowed. That you bring in your spouse to study with you in Japan. Yeah. But yeah, still reach out to us. We'll try to find out for you, and let you know if you can do that, and which other university can do that. If you can find one gem, then that's gonna be very good for you. But
I doubt it.
I yeah, yeah, like the fact that we just call it a bachelor degree,
Masters
Yes.
and PhD, yes. Bachelors, no.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that question, though. It's good to clarify, and it's something that we didn't clarify earlier on. And yeah, and we look forward to being able to help some of you realize this dream to study in Japan.
Me
And
too.
Japan, yeah, I mean, Japan is really uh, a really interesting country to study in. And yeah, with now the opportunity just opens up with a lot of these requirements lowered down. um, I think this is not a dream that is very far-fetched for any of us. So if you would love to see this dream of studying abroad happen, and realize, Arrows Education it's really happy to help you. We offer free consultation for you, to place you in universities across 30 over countries, working with over 2,500 universities, offering thousands of courses that may match to you. And Japan is one of them. And in nursing, in all these different applications and management as well. Um, every aspect of your study that you'll be interested in, uh, we are ready to serve you. And so reach out to us on Arrows Transaction. If we can have the slides of uh, our our contacts on, I think you can go visit our website on arrowstransaction.com, or visit our social media, Arrows Education, on all platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Or reach out to us on WhatsApp as well, and we'll be happy to have someone to consult with you as soon as possible. And just before we end, we have one last question um, from from our viewer here. It asks how easy it is for international students to find a job in Japan. How easy it is for international students to find a job in Japan?
Usually, um, to answer that question, I will not be saying that the moment you arrive at the airport, a job is waiting for you, or somebody is waiting, somebody is waiting to offer you a job. So that is where you being proactive also is important. Yes, there are jobs, because this is a program that Japan is just suddenly waking up to. So if you look at the history and the society of Japan, you'll find out that Japan, I think, is the country that has the highest number of old people in the world. So they have a lot of the older generation. Unfortunately, the younger generation are not getting married. So there is a gap in generation. That is the reason why this is actually happening now. So Japan is trying to fill a gap in their society. And so there are jobs, there are opportunities for jobs, but then when you arrive, you have to do your own assignment by finding those opportunities, because the opportunities will not come after you as an international student, but they are there. So you just need to, socialize, interact with other students, interact with senior students, those who have been there before you, especially international students. So this is one thing that I usually say to many international students. When you get into a new country, it is good to ask advice from everyone, but when it comes to things that pertains to international students, local students don't have any idea. They don't know how it works, because it's their country and they don't have to deal with the things that you deal with. So wisdom demands that when you want to ask questions, you ask from international students. So they will know. So when you are talking about, oh, I'm looking for a job, I want to find a job to do, then you need to, sorry, let me stop sharing this. So they are the ones who have been through it, those who have been there before you. You talk to them. Oh, okay, so if I want to find this kind of job, what do I need to do? And some of them will tell you, because sometimes outside of you don't even have a qualification anyway to begin with. Maybe you are going to study for but your bachelor's, even if you are studying for your master's, your undergraduate degree was not acquired there. So it's not really like a big deal. And then you are a student. So there are jobs that are reserved for students. There are the kind of jobs that you can easily find. Many of them are usually menial jobs, not necessarily a blue collar job. So you can't go there and be expecting to find an office job where you're going to suit up and go to work. No, it's usually the small, small jobs that maybe the locals are not even interested in. So when you want to go for those kind of, you don't start, you go to international student and ask them, where can I find a job? What kind of job can I find? Or should I find? Where should I go? Who should I talk to? These are
Mm.
things that you need to do. In addition to that, it's also very important to ensure that you have a community. Find yourself in a community uh, within the local environment, a church community, international student community, student associations. These social communities are extremely important because they help you to connect with everyone around, and then you can start to ask questions. But when you don't know anyone and you are always going from your room to the library and from the library back to your room, then you are already getting it all wrong. I make bold to say that because I lived my undergraduate life like that. I'll go to class, from class to library, and back to my room, and from my room tomorrow I repeat. And so it's like repeat. Then okay, I go to fellowship, I go to my Christian fellowship, and then back to my room, and that was my life all through. So I didn't know what was going on in my class, not to talk of what was going on campus. I was just reading. So when you go to university, it's not just about getting a degree.
Mm.
It is more than getting a degree. It is actually, in fact, there are many universities out there. When you go out into the Western world, they don't really care too much about your grade. They care a lot more about whether you have been able to develop your leadership skills, whether you know how to communicate, whether you can link up with a community of other people, whether you know how to find your way around or work in a team. These are things that, because these are the things at the end of the day that matters when you're in the real world. Nobody cares about your first class after you start working. You don't bring your certificate to work. But if you have a first class and then you have a job where you don't get along with any of your team members, you don't get along with anybody in the company, you will soon be on your way out. So first class will fail you at that point. So that's my
Yeah.
concern.
I think it also probably would be wise to have some practical preparation for that as well. If you're expecting to work while you're studying, I think it makes sense to at least expect the first 3 months that you will not be able to find a job.
Yep.
I think prepare your finances in such a way that you can go on um, for 3 months without a job, and you're still able to feed yourself and get yourself sheltered somewhere. Because I feel like when you enter into Japan or any foreign countries to study, the first month, I can guarantee you finding a job is not going to be your first priority.
At all.
Your first priority is getting through your orientation,
Yeah.
getting all the things that you need, and getting your foot on the ground, and understanding your environment, building communities. These are going to overwhelm you so much that you do not even want to work. So uh, have that reserve for the first I I would prefer if you have 6 months reserve for the first
6 months
6 months.
will be ideal, but you will
Yeah,
definitely be able to find something before then. But it's better to plan with that.
right.
It's better
Yeah,
to
so plan that, and that would help you to go a long way.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing to have. Yeah.
yeah.
Do we want to address the last question? Um, so maybe
Um,
we can go briefly on this one. What are the opportunity for students to engage with Japan's rapidly growing tech and innovation sectors, such as internship, hackathons, or research collaboration with industry?
Okay, so I think I mentioned that when I was presenting as well.
Mm,
Japan happens to be one country where the industry, we all know how many of our cars come from Japan, and Japan is very strong when it comes to technology. So they have a lot of all these technology companies there. And if you said there are opportunities for students to engage, yeah, with the rapidly growing tech and innovation sector during your study. Yes, there are opportunities for internships. Maybe you can also participate in hackathons if you have the time. And then they also have a lot of, actually, the universities have a lot of collaborations with the industry. So it's a good opportunity for anyone that is in the tech sector. I am sure that's one of the reasons why they even have a program for you to become a permanent resident if you study any one of the STEM courses. So you studied engineering, you study the sciences, you study any of the technology courses. They have a fast track program for you to become a permanent resident in Japan. See, when countries are offering this type of opportunities, like I said, it's because there is a gap in their society that they intend to fill. They know that you are coming from everywhere. You're coming from Malaysia, coming from Nigeria, coming from Kenya, Namibia, everywhere, and you're going into the system. They know that not all of you will bring wives and husbands. They know that a higher percentage of you will come single, and a very good percentage of you is good, will end up marrying their daughters and their sons. So it's a transformation of the society when they open this kind of opportunities. So the society gets completely changed. So give it 10 years, 20 years, and then you see the result of what is happening now. Because by then, people will go in, spend 4 years. During their 4 years, they get a Japanese girlfriend, Japanese boyfriend. In the next 4 years, they get the Japanese wife and Japanese husband. In another 4 years, they have Japanese kids. And give it 20 years, you have these new breeds of human beings that are, I mean, crossbreeds between Japan and wherever you come from. So this is what they are looking into, and that's why they are making all of these opportunities available. So the opportunities are there. I would say, if I'm going to give any advice regarding this, I would say go for a STEM course. If you are going to Japan, go for a STEM course.
Yeah, anything to do with hard engineering, the top few countries that you should look for is Germany and Japan.
In Japan.
These are the countries that you really can pick up a lot of skills, and when you have worked with companies in these countries, it's usually a plus point for you, especially like Dr. Bosedi say in STEM field and engineering especially. And so do consider when you're going there, and these are things that interest you, a STEM field would be really helpful for you. And we're talking about internship as well. Um, Sometimes there are paid internship, you know.
Yeah.
So imagine you can hit two birds with one stone, right? I believe some of these courses, especially bachelor degrees, would have requirement for internship as well. And if you can find a paid internship that pays some of your bills, and at the same time you'll be able to fulfill your requirement for internship. And most of the time, internship would be even offered within the university themselves. That companies will actually reach out to university and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, we want to help students get better, and we have positions open for internship. We'll be willing to pay them. Send some of your students over to us." That's always happening in Malaysia. And I'm sure it's happening in Japan. And if you can get these internship, it's going to be so beneficial for you.
And if
So
I can get in a word there, it's much easier for local students when it comes to internship. It's a little more challenging for international students
okay.
because, yeah, it's a bit more complicated. For a local student, you just walk in, the company already knows that you're coming. They already have places for you to fill in. But as an international student, that will take me back to what I said earlier about building a community, being part of a community. Because not only outside the campus, but also on campus, not
Mm,
only among your colleagues, but also even among your lecturers. So
mm,
I'll give an example. We always have what we call memorandum of understanding with the industry. So let's say uh, where I am working, I have this student who I think is an excellent student. Excellent for me does not always mean academically excellent. Might be an average student, an okay student, but that has the sense, I would say, to build a relationship with me.
Mm,
And then the student, and it's an international student, and this student now wants to do internship. It becomes easy for me to write a letter of recommendation or even pick up my phone and put a call across
mm,
to my maybe MOU partner industry and say, hey, we have this good student. I would like you to give him a chance to intern with you and all that. And then what the next thing you hear is, okay, 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 send them to us. So if you don't have anyone doing that for you, it may be more challenging
mm,
finding a place as an international student. So you need to, you need to be smart. Let me use that word. You need to be smart. You need to strategize. You need to have your head in the right place the moment you get into any new country, and make sure that you are not just messing around and just taking anything for granted, because the things that local students can take for granted, you cannot.
mm.
You
Yeah.
cannot, because it's this is not your home. And let me even uh, give this, because sometimes people have people live with stereotypes. People can't help it. Oh, these people are like this kind of people are like this, people from this country are like this. And
Yeah.
because of that, I have never had any experience with people from that country, but I've had people saying that, oh, people from that country are like this, and because of that I don't want to have anything to do with them. You're going to face things like that. And it's going to take you being smart from the onset to actually be able to penetrate. It's going to take someone possibly speaking for you, or you building your own community. For example, we, like Josh mentioned, we usually will have industry coming to the university to do events. During this event, did you attend? No. You think that it's nothing to bother about, but it's something, because when you go to such events, you can go to their booth, talk with them, make friends, get their cards, and ask them, oh, can I visit the company sometimes? Or can I call you? And then you already built a relationship with them. When it is time to do internship, they already know you. You are not a stranger. So you have
Yeah.
already, you have already built something. So you have to be that smart as an international student to have things, fall in place easily. Yeah.
Yep. So really get to work, man. Like studying
Yep.
abroad is not going to be a luxury ride in a Ferrari. It's going to it's going to be involving a lot of work from your end. You cannot afford to be lazy. You cannot afford to be complacent.
Yeah.
So it's a dream that's worth fighting for, right? And so
Yep.
if it's a dream of yours, it's worth fighting for, and put all your effort into fighting for it. Get the best you can, be the best you can be, and put in the best effort you can put in. So yeah, so don't miss out on these chances. Grab them right now today. It involves you reaching out to Arrows, and we will work with you until you get to your dream, and hopefully we'll be able to help you realize and make it a little easier for you in realizing this dream, right? And so reach out to us on our social media, on our website, and start your journey on studying abroad. All right. With this, I would like to thank all of you for this session, and we'll see you next Wednesday for another session of Professional Roundtable. And we appreciate your questions, and stay tuned for more information about studying abroad. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.